For decades, the Taiwan Strait has been a global flashpoint, separating two rival governments and symbolizing a deep ideological divide. This narrow body of water has not only marked a physical boundary, but also a line between two very different political systems and worldviews. The People's Republic of China in Beijing has long vowed to unify Taiwan by force if necessary. This pledge is enshrined in official policy, and Chinese leaders have repeatedly emphasized their determination to achieve what they call national reunification, regardless of international objections. Taiwan, a vibrant democracy, has maintained its sovereignty despite constant pressure. Its people have built a thriving society, holding free elections and embracing a distinct identity, even as they face ongoing threats and diplomatic isolation. This standoff has created a tense balance of power, with military drills and diplomatic maneuvering defining the relationship. Both sides have engaged in shows of strength, while the world watches anxiously, aware that any miscalculation could have far-reaching consequences. Recently, however, the tone has shifted, catching many by surprise. Beijing has replaced threats with offers of cooperation and calls for dialogue, surprising many observers. This new approach has sparked debate among analysts and policymakers alike. This marks a departure from China's recent aggressive diplomacy, which had focused on military intimidation and harsh rhetoric. The world now wonders, is this a genuine move toward peace, or merely a tactical pause in a longer strategy? We'll examine Beijing's gestures, the motivations behind them, and the global reactions that have followed. The implications are immense, affecting everything from global supply chains to superpower strategy. Any change in the status quo could disrupt international trade, impact technology industries, and alter the balance of power in the Asia-Pacific region. For Taiwan's people, it could mean a reprieve from invasion fears. For businesses, reduced risk and greater stability. Everyday life could become less tense, and economic opportunities might expand if tensions ease. Diplomats see new opportunities for engagement, but optimism is tempered by caution. Many remain wary, knowing that past overtures have sometimes masked deeper ambitions. The core disagreements remain unresolved, and China's goal of unification is unchanged. The fundamental issues at the heart of the dispute have not disappeared, and both sides remain vigilant. We must separate hopeful rhetoric from real policy change and look beyond the headlines to understand what's truly at stake. The stakes could not be higher. The future of the region, and perhaps the world, may hinge on what happens next in the Taiwan Strait. Beijing's shift began subtly, almost like a whisper in the corridors of power, with a series of calculated moves that seemed to be part of a larger strategic game. In September 2025, China's Taiwan Affairs Office called for renewed economic dialogue, a notable change after years of frozen communication, signaling a potential thaw in relations. Talks on the dormant Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement were proposed, signaling a willingness to talk business and perhaps rebuild trust. Soon after, Chinese officials emphasized shared culture and kinship, softening their rhetoric and downplaying military threats, which had previously dominated the discourse. China eased restrictions on some Taiwanese agricultural imports, a small but symbolic gesture that hinted at a desire for reconciliation. Most strikingly, PLA incursions into Taiwan's airspace dropped dramatically, with a 70% decrease in crossings of the median line, a move that caught many by surprise. This military de-escalation is the clearest sign of a policy shift, suggesting a new approach to cross-strait relations. Together, these moves form a coordinated campaign: economic incentives, softer language, and reduced military pressure, all designed to create a more favorable atmosphere. Beijing's message is clear: an invitation to dialogue, a call for a new chapter in relations. Yet, the sincerity and durability of this approach remain uncertain as skepticism lingers. Each gesture is scrutinized by Taipei, Washington, and the world as they try to decipher the true intentions behind these moves. Is this conciliation or a calculated pause? The debate continues. The next move is Taiwan's. The world waits with bated breath, watching closely. Why the sudden change from Beijing? Domestic challenges are key. China's economy faces headwinds, a real estate crisis, record youth unemployment, and declining foreign investment. A Taiwan conflict would trigger crippling sanctions, worsening these problems. Stability is now the top priority for Chinese leaders. A softer stance reassures investors and projects China as a responsible global player. Politically, Xi Jinping's consolidated power gives him room to pivot without appearing weak. The previous hardline approach only pushed Taiwan closer to the US and strengthened its resolve. Now Beijing hopes economic incentives and reduced threats will be more effective. It's a strategic recalibration, not a change in ultimate goals. Taipei's response is cautious optimism. President Li's government welcomes reduced tensions but insists on sovereignty and democracy as non-negotiable. Privately, skepticism runs deep. Taiwanese officials want proof of real change, not just words. The public is divided. Business leaders hope for economic benefits, while many, especially the young, distrust Beijing. Most support dialogue, but even more oppose unification. Li's administration practices reciprocity. Positive steps from China are met in kind, but no unilateral concessions. For example, Taiwan reviews rules on Chinese business visits in response to eased agricultural bans. This tit-for-tat approach keeps options open while maintaining vigilance. Taiwan is open to engagement, but not at the cost of its autonomy. The United States, Taiwan's key backer, is watching closely as events unfold across the strait. Every move is scrutinized, and every statement is weighed for its potential impact. Washington's policy of strategic ambiguity has long served as a careful balancing act, deterring both a Chinese invasion and a formal declaration of independence by Taiwan. Now, Beijing's recent de-escalation presents both an opportunity for dialogue and a challenge for U.S. policymakers, who must navigate shifting dynamics with caution. Officially, the U.S. welcomes the reduction in tensions and publicly encourages all sides to pursue open dialogue and peaceful solutions. Behind closed doors, however, officials remain wary. They question whether Beijing's overtures are genuine steps toward peace, or a calculated ploy to weaken the U.S.-Taiwan partnership and sow division. The U.S. quietly urges Taiwan's leaders to proceed with caution, emphasizing the importance of vigilance and unity in the face of uncertainty. America's military presence in the Indo-Pacific remains a cornerstone of its strategy, but now, the emphasis on diplomacy and dialogue is growing stronger than ever. U.S. diplomats are working to ensure that any talks protect Taiwan's interests, while also seeking to strengthen direct communication channels with Beijing to avoid misunderstandings. The overarching goal is clear: to establish stable guardrails that can prevent miscalculation and conflict in this sensitive region. At home, the U.S. faces a heated debate. Should it double down on support for Taiwan, or pursue deeper engagement with China to reduce risks? The White House must carefully balance these competing pressures, striving to maintain a consistent and credible policy amid shifting global realities. Ultimately, the U.S. seeks lasting peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, hoping that Taiwan's future can be determined peacefully, without coercion or conflict. This pivotal moment could reshape the entire dynamic between the U.S., China, and Taiwan, with consequences that extend far beyond the region. The stakes are high for all involved. The world is watching, and the outcome will reverberate across the globe. The easing of Taiwan Strait tensions has global impact. Taiwan's semiconductor industry is vital. Conflict would disrupt supply chains and risk global recession. News of a thaw brings relief to economies worldwide. Regional powers like Japan and South Korea welcome lower security risks and hope for more economic cooperation. Yet, some neighbors remain wary, suspecting China's softer approach could be a divide-and-conquer tactic. The EU sees an opportunity to balance economic ties with China and security concerns. A less confrontational China eases pressure on European leaders. Still, skepticism remains about Beijing's long-term intentions. A stable strait lets the world focus on other pressing issues. If positive signals persist, what's next? The most likely step is resuming semi-official Track 2 dialogues, academics, business leaders, and retired officials exploring cooperation. Talks could focus on economic ties, cultural exchanges, and confidence building. A breakthrough would be formal government talks, but that requires creative diplomacy and political will. Conversely, the thaw could be short-lived. Provocations or preconditions could quickly derail progress. The most realistic outcome is limited cooperation in practical areas, while core disputes remain unresolved. This cold peace is better than confrontation, even if it falls short of true reconciliation. The focus will be on managing differences, not solving them. Dialogue is a process, not a final settlement. Major obstacles to lasting peace remain. The core issue is sovereignty. Beijing sees unification as non-negotiable, while most Taiwanese reject rule from the mainland. Deep mistrust persists after decades of confrontation. Taipei fears economic deals could become tools of coercion. Beijing suspects Taiwan is stalling for independence. US involvement complicates matters. Support for Taiwan angers Beijing, but is vital for Taipei's security. Navigating these competing interests is extremely difficult. Domestic politics on both sides limit leaders' flexibility. In Taiwan, appearing too soft risks backlash. In China, being too conciliatory invites criticism. These pressures push both sides toward hardline positions. Genuine reconciliation remains a distant prospect. China's recent positive signals mark a significant shift in cross-strait dynamics. Softer rhetoric, economic incentives, and reduced military provocations reflect Beijing's domestic challenges and strategic reassessment. This opens a window for dialogue, but deep obstacles remain. Taipei engages cautiously, insisting on sovereignty and democracy. The US and the world welcome reduced tensions, but remain vigilant. A cold peace, managing differences, not resolving them, seems the most likely outcome. The coming months will reveal if this is a true turning point or just a temporary pause. The world watches, hoping for peace but preparing for uncertainty.